Hello everyone, this is Dr. Mihir Shah once again with another video. In this video, we are going to solve a small revision on international finance, which will help you to easily clear the examination. This is basically for those who haven't yet completed the entire portion. So I have made a combined video which will help you to clear out easily. So let us see what all topics needs to be covered up.
Okay, the first type is based on direct and indirect code. So let us see how to solve that.
Now, let us learn how to identify in which country the currency which is given is in direct code. And once we are able to identify that, how to calculate the indirect code. Okay, now very first the formula has been given that the indirect code is equal to 1 upon the direct code, which whatever the rate they might have been given you. Okay, now the question you will get is something like this: identify the country in which it is a direct code, and for each find the indirect code in that country. So two things we have to find in this. Number one, we have to first identify the currency or the statement transaction that has been given to us, or the code which has been given to us. That code is direct in which country, and once you can identify that, then we can easily find the indirect code using the formula. Now in order to identify the direct code, it is very simple. Okay, now look at this very carefully. How to identify? The basic rule that you have to note down is very simple. You just have to say, you have to always go with the first rule, that okay, this is the golden rule. Foreign currency is expressed in one unit. Okay, meaning whichever code is given to you, okay, the code in which, okay, the one unit is being given to us, that is basically our foreign currency, and the currency exactly opposite to that will be our domestic currency. So now in this question, rupees 75.31 is equal to 1 Great Britain pound, or 1 GBP. Foreign currency is expressed in unit 1. So in our case, GBP was expressed in 1 unit. So this is our foreign currency. So rupees which is given will become our domestic currency, or we can call it as home currency. So in which country it is a direct code? That's why I can say that therefore this code which has been given to us, it is direct code in India. That's the very first thing. Once we have found that, now we can find the second part. So this is my first part of the sum. Now second, we need to find the indirect code. So indirect code is equal to 1 upon direct code, okay, which is equal to 1 upon the direct code was 75.31. So I will divide that. So we'll get that 1 divided by 75.31. So I get that value as 0.0133. Okay, so that is nothing but I can finally frame it as, therefore 1 rupee is equal to 0.0133 GBP. That's our final value. Okay, again very simple. Let us try using the same rule for the second sum. 1 USD is equal to rupees 48.30. Again my first statement will be foreign currency is expressed in 1 unit. Now in my statement USD is 1 unit, so here USD will be my foreign currency, and rupee will become my domestic currency. Okay, therefore, since domestic currency is rupees, therefore this code we can say that it is direct quote in India. Now once I found that, we can now easily find the indirect quote. So indirect quote का formula is 1 upon direct quote. So here it will be 1 upon 48.30. So 1 divided by 48.30, we will get the value as 0.0207. Okay, so I can say that therefore 1 rupee is equal to 0.0207 USD. Okay, in the exact same manner we can cite is given that 1 USD equals to 1.1630 Canadian dollars called as CAD. So again we will apply the same rule. Number 1, foreign currency is expressed in 1 unit. Okay, so here USD is in 1 unit, so that becomes a foreign currency. Canadian dollar will become the home currency. Therefore, I can say it is a direct quote in Canada. Therefore, the indirect quote is equal to 1 upon direct quote, so it will be 1 upon 1.1630. So that will be 1 divided by 1.1630. That will come to 0.8598. Therefore, 1 Canadian dollar will be equal to 0.8598 USD. Okay, very simple. Again, the next one, the fourth one. Again, rule number 1. Foreign currency is expressed in 1 unit. Therefore, it is a direct quote in. Now, GBP is 1 unit, so GBP becomes a foreign currency, so dollar or USD will become your domestic, so it is in direct quote in USA. Second, therefore indirect quote will be 1 upon 0.639. So 1 divided by 0.639, the value that we get is 1.5649. Therefore 1 GBP, sorry, here we are finding the other way, so it will be 1 USD is equal to 1.549 GBP. Okay, in the same way the last one, so I guess all of you have got a the hang of it. Okay, so now see the last one. Number 1, again same way, foreign currency is expressed in 1 unit. Therefore, it is a direct quote in. Now, here it is given rupees 126.26 is equal to 1 Omani Riyal. So, Omani Riyal is your foreign currency having unit 1. So, it will be a direct quote in India. So, therefore, the second part, the indirect quote, is equal to 1 upon 126.26. So 1 divided by 126.26 will give you 0.0079. So therefore 1 rupee will be equal to 0.0079 Omani Riyal.
The second part is based on mid-rate, spread percent, and inverse code. So let us see how to solve that.
Now let us see how to solve sums in which they ask you to find the inverse rate, the spread, mid rate and spread percent. Okay, so these are the four new formulas which are there, and they will ask you a question based on all these four. Inverse rate का formula is bid is equal to 1 upon ask rate and ask rate is equal to 1 upon bid. Spread is ask minus bid. Mid rate is ask plus bid divided by 2, and spread percent is spread upon ask into 100. Now based on that, let us see how we can solve the sum. Question number 1, euro to USD is given as 1.5160, 1.5220. The first rate is always your bid rate, your second rate is always your ask rate. Okay, so we have bid rate and ask rate. They are asking you to calculate mid rate. Number 1, mid rate. Now mid rate ka formula is ask rate plus bid rate divided by 2. Ask rate is 1.5220 plus 1.5160 upon 2. Okay, so when you add up, it becomes 3.038 divided by 2. So when you divide, you get your answer as 1.5190. That's your mid rate. Second, they're asking you to find the spread. Now spread ka formula is ask rate minus your bid rate. Your ask rate is 1.5220. Your bid rate is 1.5160. When you subtract it, you get the value as 0.0060. Okay, when you subtract it, so we have 1.5220 minus 1.5160. So the difference is 0.0060. Perfect. Okay. Third, the last formula that they ask you to find is spread percent, which is spread upon ask into 100. Spread, now we already found the spread as 0.0060. So I'll write it as 0.0060 upon ask rate, which was 1.5220 into 100. Okay, when you solve, you will get the final answer as 0.39%. Okay, so this is how you all had to solve basically the sum when the bid and ask rate is given, and they ask you to find the mid, spread and spread percent. Now a little advanced sum to that is the second sum. 1 USD is equal to Canadian dollar. The bid and ask rates are given to us. They are asking you to identify in which country it is a direct quote. Okay, so now let us see how to solve such sum. Okay, so number 1, we have to first mention that we know that foreign currency will always be expressed in 1 unit. So in our case, USD is foreign currency and Canadian dollar will become your home currency. So therefore, it is a direct quote in Canada. That's my first answer. Second, they have asked you to find the mid rate. So we'll write mid rate is equal to, now formula was ask rate plus bid rate divided by 2. Ask is always the second one, so 1.1650 plus 1.1630 divided by 2. So when you add up, you should get your answer as 1.1640. That's your mid rate. That's the A part. Okay, the second ka B part where they ask you to find the spread. So now spread ka formula is ask minus bid. So that will be 1.1650 minus 1.1630, which comes to basically 0.0020. That's the second. And the C part is spread percent, that is spread upon ask into 100. The spread is 0.0020 upon ask is 1.1650 into 100. So when you divide and multiply with 100, the answer that everyone should have got would have been 0.17%. Okay, so again it will be 0.0020 divided by 1.1650 into 100 will be 0.17%. Okay, that's my spread percent. Third, what they've asked us to find is the inverse quote. Okay, now inverse quote ka formula is, number one, we need to first find the inverse bid rate. So bid rate ka will be 1 upon ask, that is 1 upon 1.1650, that's my ask rate. When I divide, I get the value as 0.8584. And secondly, I'll have to find the ask rate. Ask is nothing but 1 upon bid, which is 1 divided by 1.1630, which comes to 0.8598. Okay, therefore finally, if I have to show the inverse quote, I will get the inverse quote as, it was given as 1 USD is equal to this Canadian. So 1 Canadian dollar is equal to, bid rate was 0.85, the bid rate was 0.8584 slash the ask rate was 1.1630 USD. Okay, that's my final answer. So
Okay, the next type is based on cross currency rate. Again, a very important topic. Okay, this is from the exam point of view. Okay, so let us see how to solve sum based on cross currency rate.
okay, now let us see how to solve the sum based on cross currency rate. Okay, how to calculate the cross currency rate. Now this is the most simplest method, okay, what I will be showing you all. So see that you all listen to the video very carefully, and I can guarantee you all that after following whatever I have said, you all can solve any kind of sum based on cross currency rate. Okay, chalo, let us start. So there are 4 problem sum that we are going to take. Okay, so we are going to start by the very first one. Number 1, it is given that if USD to INR is 60.2530 and 60.2528, and GBP, that is Great Britain pound, to USD is 1.6260 and 1.6265. Now always remember, the first amount which is always given is your bid rate, that is your buying rate, and the second amount is called as an ask rate or your selling rate. Okay, they are asking us to find the cross currency rate between GBP, that is Great Britain pound, and INR, that is the Indian currency. Now very simple, we need to calculate, first of all we need to calculate 2 rates in this. Number 1 will be the bid rate, that is the buying rate, and secondly we'll have to find the ask rate, okay, that is the selling rate. So now let us see how to solve. Okay, number 1, we need to first find GBP to INR. We are basically first finding the bid rate. Okay, so I'll write here bid rate. Now listen to this carefully, how to solve this particular sum. Whatever first value they have given us, in this they have given us GBP, I will note down here GBP. The second is we need to convert it to INR, so I'll leave little space and I'll write it as INR. Okay, in between there will be a multiplication sign because we need to find the cross currency. Okay, so we are basically going to multiply here. Now whatever currency is pending from the question, see GBP is come here, INR is considered, so the only third currency which is given is USD, so I will note down here as USD, and here also we will note down this as USD. So whatever we are asked to found, that will be starting and this will be the end, and the in between for both of them we will have the third currency. Now look at this very carefully. Now compare what we have found here in our formula that we have formulated, GBP to USD. Check in our question if the same order is given or not. here in this question I can see there's given GBP to USD. It's in the same order. First GBP, then USD, GBP, USD. So in whenever they are in the same order, in the same line, we'll have to take the rate exactly from the question. So here I will be taking, since you're finding the bid rate, I will be taking the bid rate because it's exactly in the same order, that is GBP to USD. And secondly, USD to INR. Again, in the question is directly given to us as USD to INR. If it is in the same order, okay, take the rate as it is. Now here also we'll be taking the bid rate. Okay, so the bid rate for GBP to USD was 1.6260 multiplied by the bid rate of USD to INR is 60.2530. Okay, very simple. Multiply them and the value that we should get is 97.9714. Remember, up to 4 decimal we need to consider or we need to take. Okay, similarly, now the second one, we found the bid rate. Now we need to find the ask rate or the selling rate. So again, GBP to INR, we are going to find now the ask rate. Again, the funda is same. We take the first value, GBP, and INR, that we keep it on the last, the ending. In between we put the multiplication sign. Okay, and thereafter whatever was the third currency. So in our case, our third currency was USD, so we will use USD in both the side. Now check for the same value if this is in the same order. GBP to USD, yes, it's in the same order, so we will directly take the ask rate from the question. Same way, USD to INR, directly it is given in the same order, we will take the ask rate from the question because we are asked to find that. So the GBP to USD ask rate is 1.6265, and from the USD to INR the ask rate is 60.2528. We multiply and the value that we should have got was 98.0012. Okay, that is ask rate. So therefore finally, GBP to INR, we can write the answer as your bid rate was 97.9714 slash the ask rate was 98.0012. This is our bid rate and this is our ask rate. Okay, this is how we had to basically solve that particular sum. Again, very simple. Okay, this is first type of sum where all the values, what they were asked us to find the, and then when we use that formula, when we use the breakup is directly given us in the question. So that is one variant. Now check the second variant that can be given to us. Okay, now look at this very carefully. Okay, from here it is a little bit tricky, just have to keep in mind. Okay, one step you need to just keep in mind. Okay, now here they are given us if USD to SGD, that is Singapore dollar, the rates are given as 1.54 1.5430 and 1.5435, and SGD to Great Britain pound or GBP is given as another rate. They are asking us to find GBP, that's Great Britain pound, to USD. Okay, so we will start with the same step. Number one, we need to first find GBP to USD, the bid rate, that is the buying rate. Okay, so now we follow the same rule. First, whatever they ask us to find, the first name we keep here, the second thing will go at the end, put the multiplication sign in between. Now the third currency which is present in the question is SGD, so I'll write SGD on both the side. Okay, now look at this very carefully. We need to find GBP to SGD. Okay, that is Great Britain pound to Singapore dollar. Now look at the same, if it's in the same where these two values are seen in the question. I can see here GBP to SGD. The only issue is in the question they are given us SGD to GBP, and we have been asked to find the exact opposite. Okay, remember, whenever it is opposite, from the second to the first, we will have to take, the thing is, we'll have to take the reciprocal of the opposite rate, meaning if they are finding the bid and if they are giving you reverse, so we'll have to take the ask rate. Okay, so remember here I'll have to take the ask rate and not the bid rate, okay, whenever it is in the opposite direction. Same way here, SGD to USD. Now again, SGD to USD. See, here is given USD to SGD, but we are asked to find the opposite. So if it goes in the opposite direction, we will have to take the opposite rate, that is the ask rate. So whenever we are asked to find the bid rate, and when in our solution we have written as ask, so it will always be the reciprocal. Okay, it will always be the reciprocal. So GBP to SGD, when we are going to the reverse order, we take the ask rate and we take the reciprocal of that. So it will be 0.3342 multiplied by again ask rate 1 upon 1.5435. This is the most important part. Okay, this is the most important part that needs to be considered. So whenever you are finding the bid rate, and when they gave us, when we formulated the formula, whenever we have reverse in the question, they have given in one order and we have been asked to find in reverse. The rule is, whenever you're doing in reverse, first of all it will be inverse, that will be 1 upon reciprocal, and secondly, if you are finding bid, we'll have to take the rate of ask, and if you are finding ask, we'll have to take the rate of bid if it goes in the opposite direction. So when you solve this, 1 divided by 0.3342, the value you should get is 2.9922, multiply by 1 divided by 1.5435, you will get the value as 0.6479. When you multiply this, the value that you should get is 1.9386. Okay, now let us see how we use this thing in the second part, that is to find the ask rate. GBP to USD, that is what they've asked us to find. Now we are finding the ask rate. Now look at this very carefully. Again we go the same order. First value was GBP, the last value is USD, multiplication in between. The third currency is SGD, so we note down this as SGD. Here also we'll note down as SGD. Now looking at what they've asked us to find, we need to get GBP to SGD, but in the question it is given in the opposite, SGD to GBP. So when we need to find the reverse, the rule is again we take the reciprocal, but when we are finding ask, and if we are asked to find the reciprocal, we'll have to take the opposite rate, so that will be the bid rate. Same way for SGD to USD, again since we are finding ask rate, but since it's opposite, we'll have to take the opposite rate, that will be the bid rate. So bid rate also, when you're going to take the opposite, it will be the reciprocal, so it will be 1 upon 0.3340 upon into 1 divided by the bid rate of the first one, that will be 1.5430. okay, now when you divide them, the value you should get is 2.9922 into 0.6481. You multiply, the value that you should get is 1.9404. Finally, therefore, GBP to USD, the answer that you should get, the bid rate was 1.9386 and our ask rate is 1.9404. This is my bid rate and this is my ask rate. Okay, again very simple, just keep in mind whatever I have said, how to solve when they give you in the opposite direction.